Walking into the studio now to join us, the new head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Josh Pastner, joins us. Morning to you, Coach.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Good.
Awesome.
Take his hand and get a chance to have Coach Pastner in here.
I want to say a story here because how many years did you play with the Eagles?
I played six years with the Eagles.
My true story. My dad and my dad and his dad, my parents grew up in Philadelphia, grew up in Philly. And my dad was the ball boy for the 76ers for a long time with Wilt Chamberlain. And ball boy back then, and it wasn't like a normal ball boy now. It was like you're part of the team. They just called you a ball boy. But he actually was very close with Wilt and his family. He actually taped the 100-point game, him and his father. I'll get to my point in a second.
Wow.
But my dad's dad was such a big Eagles fan that he went to every single Eagles game. And the only 2 games he's ever missed was during both times due to the war. And he actually died in his seat, had a heart attack in an Eagles game.
Get out!
And they on the seat, they don't let anyone sit there. They put his name there because he was that long of a season ticket holder.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, and you know, it's funny. Like in Philly, you hear a lot of stories like that, and it's great to know that like Philly fans, like they're everywhere. And they're diehard.
Yeah, they're diehard.
That's real big. That's big.
And so I just want to let you know that because I know who you are, but my grandfather who just loved the Eagles and
died
so
in his seat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Died in his seat in his heart attack watching the Philadelphia Eagles game. It was actually they were playing the Cowboys. And we were actually watching the game on that Sunday. So. You might have been playing it. I don't know. I mean, you know, maybe he was doing so well that he got his heart rate up or something. You know what I mean?
Josh Pastner is the new head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets men's basketball team. He joins us live in studio here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game with John and Hugh. Before we get into something here, I brought up a point here that I thought was interesting. Between radio and real estate, I don't have a lot of free time, Coach, but I do love to play golf. But your assistants, that's a no-no.
You know what? Hey, talk about creating some good energy out there. I was on the Golf Channel and everything else based on my comment. Here's my point with that. And look, I have such great appreciation for golf. And what my point was, this is a major rebuild job. This is a rebuild job that we're going to have to do. So anyone that we're going to hire on our staff, I truly believe, has to be so aligned into my direction, my mission, my vision of how I believe what we need to do to get to where we want to get to have a championship level program. So my point is it wasn't about golf. It was more of a figure of speech that we're not going to have time to take 5 hours a day on the golf course. Not when we're in a situation where we're at. It's going to be a 7-day-a-week, 24/7 type of job, 365 to get the thing turned around. And so I could have used I could have said fishing. I could have said any. I just use that more as a figure of speech. And like I said, I have great appreciation for golf. I played it when I was younger. I lived on a golf course, believe it or not, in Memphis, but it did create some a little bit of buzz, and that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's not a bad thing. When we're trying to build back, we want to keep Georgia Tech on the forefront of people's minds.
You know, Coach, speaking of Georgia Tech and their basketball program, it's been kind of on the back burner a little bit. So when you got here, is that one thing that you felt that there was a sense of urgency to get this thing turned around almost immediately?
Well, back in the day, Georgia Tech used to be Atlanta's team in a way. It was kind of the hottest thing in Atlanta. And we have the capability of doing that, but we've got to make sure that we recruit well and build the program back to where it becomes an exciting brand of basketball and get the city behind its team. Now, look, I'm a big-time fan of the NBA. I love the Atlanta Hawks. What Bud has done there has been just amazing. I'm a sports fan. I mean, you got the Falcons, which are awesome. You've got, obviously, the Braves. I mean, there's just so many sports teams right here, professional teams, obviously, that make it neat for the city. But for us, for the college, it back in the day, before all maybe the professional teams got going and everything, and where Coach Kremens had, and even in the Coach Hewitt areas, I mean, Georgia Tech basketball was probably the hottest thing in the city. So for us, we need to get back to that level. The only way to do it, and I believe when you're rebuilding, it's 3 areas. It's hiring staff. I think I hired a great staff. It's scheduling. We have to schedule properly, and recruiting. We got to recruit the right student athlete for Georgia Tech. We might not be the right fit for anybody, and everybody not be the right fit for us, but we've got to find the right fit for both of us, and then we got to recruit the heck out of them. We got to do a great job evaluating them, and then we got to recruit the heck out of them and get them to come to Georgia Tech.
Josh Pastner is the new head coach of Georgia Tech. Comes over from the University of Memphis, where he was the head coach of the Memphis Tigers and is now the head coach of the Jackets. And just so happens, Coach, that today is our Throwback Thursday, and we're celebrating 1983. And you go back to those days when Bobby Cremins came in to take over the program in the early 80s and elevated the program.
Absolutely.
Well, boy, and he took it right to the top real fast. And, of course, it kept going and growing and growing all the way to a championship appearance through Jared Jack. But you look and you walk through that hallway, and Memphis has got its own fabulous history. I understand that. But you walk through that hallway and you see all those superstars that are up on that board there. Man, it's a list.
You're right. It is a list. And here's what I would tell you. I was at the University of Arizona. And we've had I played there and I coached there. I played on the team that won the national championship back in 1997. So, and then I coached there and I was coaching in a game and I was on staff when we lost in the championship to Duke in 2001 in the championship game. So I've been part of it. I've seen many great players. I've coached with great players. I've played along great players. Same thing at Memphis and then here at Georgia Tech. So the three programs I've been at have been around. Have had high-level guys. I understand what a championship-level program feels like, looks like, should be when you put it on the floor, when you come out of that locker room and you're about to warm up and you're about to jump center there. I understand what the vision is, what we need to have, so the fans in that arena understand, okay, it's on. Like, game's on. We're ready to hoop. I don't care who we're playing. We're going at them. And I understand what it takes to get there. Now, understanding it and putting in emotions all good, but we've got to deliver. And deliver means that we've got to get the right student athletes. We got to get the talent. And that's going to be entrusted obviously to myself and my staff to get the job done. And it's not going to happen overnight. Coach Cremins, like you said, he came in quickly and turned it around, boom, boom, boom. I don't know if we'll be able to do it that quick. I hope we can. Obviously it's a different time and different day and age. Today is just in sense of in today's, there's more opportunities to go to different places, but we're going to get it done. It might take us a little time, but we will get there. I love our vision and mission and what we need to do to make it happen.
Coach, can you stay another segment?
I would love to stay.
All right, great. Perfect. We'll have Coach Pastner stay another segment and get Hugh's thoughts here, because I know Hugh's chomping at the bit on a couple of things.
I got some questions, Coach.
Yeah,
I love the questions. Absolutely. You look like you can still play, by the way.
I've been working out, Coach.
Man, he can play. He can play.
Trying to run this Peachtree Road race. That's it. I'm just
you look good.
I got
you look really good.
Left. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, you need a power forward.
We need some talent.
Hey, listen. Yeah, there you go. I'm not.
You got
talented.
5 fouls.
I'm good for all 5.
That's okay. We need them all.
Josh Pastner, head coach of Georgia Tech, stays another segment live right here on the morning show with John and Hugh on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
Back in the day.
It's Throwback Thursday on John and Hugh.
We're taking you back.
1983.
1983 was a very good year if you're around to remember it. Here on the morning show with John and Hugh on Sports Radio.
Is that I want your love?
False.
It's not I want your love. That's
No,
it.
it's Naked Eyes, Promises, Promises.
Oh, promises, promises that you never keep. Yeah, I got it. I got it now.
Josh Pastner, head coach of Georgia Tech, is looking at us. We're at the studio going, all right, what in the world did I get
sometimes I
ourselves?
just break out in song, Coach.
That's okay. I might not have you sing the national anthem for us. That's the only thing I would tell you.
No, I would not do that. That would be an
83, where were
embarrassing
you?
moment.
83, I was 6 at the time.
Right,
So you know what I probably remember growing up in the 80s there. It was just kind of the first burst on speed of MTV music videos.
Yes.
And I remember
Yes.
Michael Jackson and the cool. Everyone's into breakdancing with the red coat and the glove. You know what I mean? So
my brother had a Michael Jackson jacket. He had a red one.
I did too.
I was jealous.
I did too.
I was definitely jealous.
I did too. That was a song. What was the song? USA Africa. They had
We are the world.
There you go. Yep.
We are the children.
Yep.
You remember? You got a pretty good memory.
I got
for
a great
6-year-old.
memory. Yeah. That was holding that 80s scene there. You know what I mean?
That's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, Coach, coming from Memphis, I heard a lot about you because I have family that lives in Memphis.
Okay.
And they said a lot of great things about you. Say you're a great recruiter.
Yep.
Great recruiter. Do you see that as potentially being a challenge here, at Georgia Tech?
Well, look, in my time at Memphis, I had won over 70% of our games. We'd won a lot of games in my 7 years as a head coach, which is a lot. This year at Memphis, I was following John Calipari, and in the last 4 years, he had won like 96% of his games, so 95% of his games, and I was with him as an assistant, so I get it. So I think sometimes the label of recruiter, which is a great thing because you got to be able to recruit. I mean, but I also think we do a good job of developing players, of getting guys better. I think skill development is a key area of part of recruiting, because if you're guys, as you know, guys want to be coached, they want to get better, they want to be improved, and we spend a lot of time, myself and my staff, I really believe in sweat equity, just like being in the gym with them, you're sweating with them. I think those things are important. So it's not just recruiting and being on the phone and selling. It's also them visually seeing it and feeling the energy, not only via face-to-face, but in the gym. And when people see that and they come to watch you, that's attractive to recruits at times. That's a big part.
Josh Pastner, head coach at Georgia Tech, acclimating to Atlanta. How are you acclimating to Atlanta? Are you finding your way around town, finding favorite spots?
You know what? I have loved it so far. Unbelievable places to eat. And I've just been at my little apartment and the office. I mean, it's been working till about 11.
Well, where are you hanging? Where can we find you?
You know what? At the office. I'm at the office. If you want to get me, I'm at the office. So it has been a whirlwind. It has been fast. I mean, in our line of work, it's probably the only line of work where you could be the head coach at Memphis at 3:00 in the afternoon on a Thursday, and then 8 in the morning the next morning, you're in a private plane going to Atlanta to be the head coach at Georgia Tech. I mean, that quick, and you've only been back to Memphis one time in those 40 days, you know.
I guess what I'm trying to say is you got Beale Street in Memphis, right?
Beale Street in Memphis.
Right, and everybody knows Rendezvous and Beale Street.
And Elvis.
Right, well, of course. But have you found your rendezvous here?
You know what? I haven't really had any barbecue here so far. I've just eaten, I've eaten at a bunch of restaurants. I want to stay politically correct because I don't want to, upset anybody just yet. I'm too new. I haven't lost a game, so I'm in my honeymoon period. So everyone's happy right now. But I've eaten at a lot of good spots, and I will tell you, there's some great restaurants to have here. I tell you what. My credit card's going up because I take my staff out every night to go eat, to talk about recruiting and exiting and owing. So at about 11 o'clock, we have a late meal.
You know, Coach, it sounds like you really are trying to hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
And you've given you don't want to put yourself in a box by giving yourself a time frame.
Of course.
But you're emphasizing that you want to help build the program and make it better. What is your time frame for the turnaround for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets?
You know what? Here's what I would tell you. And you're right, I don't want to box myself in because the difference between football and basketball, see, football, you've got to have 11 and 11. I mean, you got to sign so many guys every year to start building. And same thing in basketball. The difference is all you need is two guys to turn the entire I mean, we could win 5 games this year, and then we sign 2 studs, and all of a sudden we're winning 25 the following year. I mean, it's that quick of a turnaround. So basketball is a little different. But I will tell you, what I want to do is making sure that we don't cut any corners, because what I don't want is just to have a 1-year hotshot year, we make a run, and then the next year it's 3 more years of not going to the NCAA tournament. What we have to do is build a championship level sustainable program so that when we're at a high level, that when we do lose guys to graduation or to the pros, we don't suffer so much that we're back to the bottom and taking another 3 or 4 years to get back to the tournament. I want us competing, knocking on the door of being in the tournament year in, year out, so we have a chance to make deep runs every year.
You know what, to that point, Coach, when you're talking about building your squad, how important is it to get that guy that's going to stay with you for 4 years, as opposed to that guy you talking about that might bolt to the draft?
Well, I think you got to have a mix. I mean, of course, we would love. I mean, if a one and done one's to come, we'll take him in a second. We want that. I don't know if we're going to have 7 one and dones. I mean, I don't know if that's healthy either. I mean, look, I worked for Calipari. He's doing it, and obviously there's a couple. Maybe he's the only one. Maybe one or two other coaches can handle that. Of course, we would deal with it. The issue is I think the best way to build a championship level sustainable program is you want those pros. You got to have guys who are pros, but you've got to have enough good guys that are high level guys in the program, that are program changers, that are there for 3-4 years, that are there for the long haul. So when you do lose a one and done, that you have such a core group able to continue to sustain the program moving forward to the next level. And let me tell you this for people out there. Look, in this day and age, and you see in college basketball, look at the tournament, you don't have to have all the so-called 5 stars to win.
Yes.
It's a lot of it's about the chemistry, the team. Do you play so hard? That doesn't mean those guys are all going to be good enough to play professional, but they're good enough to win you a lot of college games. And that's where the evaluation is so important. We have to evaluate properly, because if you get the right mix, you don't have to have you don't have to have 7 5-stars to win. I mean, look at it. Look around college basketball. Look in the tournament. It's not the teams that always have the most talent. It's the teams that are the best teams, that guys that just play so hard. They're cohesive. They got great chemistry. And you know what? Those teams usually have guys that can flat out shoot the basketball. It is critical that we find guys that can shoot it and can score it, that can make plays. That's a real emphasis on our recruiting.
Josh Pastner is the head coach of Georgia Tech. He's live in studio here on the morning show with John and Hugh. You don't know yet who your opening game is, but let's go to your opening game this fall, okay?
And it's November 11th.
November the 11th.
Yeah.
We know the date, but we don't know who you're playing.
Yeah, I don't know the date, but we know the date. Right.
What am I going to see? What kind of a style?
Well, here's what I would tell you. Here's how I want to play. Here's my vision. Here's my the passion that I have, and the evolution of being a coach, of what I've been around. Because the guys I've been around guys that have been around. We've been high-level guys in attack mode and playing high-scoring, high-octane. So the way that I look at it is I want to play open. I'll use these terminologies just in a general sense, but I want people to see openness. I want to see them spread. I want to see them NBA-ish in a way, Spurs and Warriors, and even how the Hawks play, and attacking and downhill driving and high-octane, up-tempo, aggressive, putting a lot of points on the board. That's my vision of what I want to get to, where it's a great style, exciting brand of basketball. But I say all that to tell you that the team that we have, it's also my job as a coach for this initial year, especially for the guys who I have not recruited. They inherited me. I've got to do a great job of putting them in a position to succeed. So there might be some tweaks here and there that I've got to fit to how I want to play, so the future the recruits can see, but I've also got to do our job with our current guys to put them in position. So I will tell you that we are going to move the ball. We're going to have great player movement, ball movement. We're not going to massage it. I think it's going to be a fun brand of basketball for fans to see. We're going to move the pieces. I like to say we're going to move the players, and we're not going to have the ball stick. I want to have high assist on made field goals, and so I think you're going to see on that opening night, and for the entire season, you're going to see a team that plays hard, that's going to leave it on the floor. You're going to have a team that plays with a great motor and a great sense of urgency, and it's going to play a great, fun, exciting brand of basketball offensively.
You know, Coach, I know you're getting ready for the season and trying to get everything in place for the upcoming season. Where at some point would there be an attempt to reach out to some of the old heads, the old alumni, and try to bring them back into the program?
You know what? I did that right when I got the job. I've tried to do that. I've called a lot of, obviously, the former coaches. I've reached out to about as many former players as I can. You know, when you look at the wall, and you mentioned this at the beginning, when you go in there and you go in that locker room and you see the wall leading up to the locker room with all the former pros that have played there, I forgot about some of the guys that have worn the Georgia Tech uniform that have played in the NBA. I mean, there's some high-level guys, and so I've tried to reach out to as many as I've been able to. I'm sure I've missed one or two here and there, but I felt I've done a good job of trying to make sure that we get it back, because the way that I look at it, this is not my program. This is Atlanta's program. This is the city's program. This is Georgia Tech's program. This is the former players program. This is the alumni's program, the fans program. I just happen to be the one sitting in the chair, kind of the CEO or the face of it, and having to make the proper decisions. But those former student athletes who've put the blood, sweat, and tears to make the program what it is, it's their program. It's the fans program. It's the alumni's program, and I recognize that. I respect that. You won't hear me say, hey, my team, my program. I'm not going to use those words. It's we, us, our, together, and I truly believe that. And so I keep my ego in check on that and recognize that very much.
Well, Coach, I will say, and we'll speak to everybody who's a Georgia Tech fan out there who knows that in this town, there is, to use a Georgia Tech word, buzz about this basketball team when they're good. Oh, boy, is there ever.
And we want to get that buzz back. And I tell all the Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket fans out there, bear with us, give us some time, but we're going to get that buzz back. We're going to have a style of play where everyone's going to get back into that arena. Back in the day, they used to call it the Thunderdome, and they used to name it one of the hardest places to play in the country. And it's what a beautiful arena. We want to get that. We want to get that buzz back, and then not only the buzz, the product on the floor with the actions by getting a bunch of wins as well too.
Josh Pastner, head coach of Georgia Tech. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you both. Appreciate you guys.